Welcome to ASMR Radio. Thanks for joining me tonight. Today I thought I would take us down into a journey where we could explore some relics, if you will, from my past. Some of these have many memories attached to them. Some of them are short and sweet. But I thought I would share them. You can see here that I have this very unusual cover. It's sort of a cloth. It is sort of a tablecloth, if you will, but it's very decorative. It has beautiful colors of gold, navy blue perhaps, and this deep red. Would you call it a burgundy? I don't know. It definitely reminds me of wine. So maybe we could call it a Syrah. This has very beautiful fringe at the end. It's very lovely. Someone spent a great deal of time making this. Every little thread, as you can see here, all these tiny threads create this beautiful design. The design, as you can see here, has elephants. And you can also see this lovely crease, which is the telltale sign that this has been deep in a closet for years. This particular cloth was a gift to my husband from a friend of his. This friend had actually gone to Thailand, and he had gone for, let's say, enjoyment. You could say recreational. You could say entertainment. But mostly to experience. And while he was there, he collected quite a number of these beautiful cloths. There were many sarongs as well, one of which I personally wore at several concerts that my husband and I attended, but I am unable to find it. It's lost. But when I see this one, I remember this friend and his history, and I remember the sarong, and I remember the concert. The concert was a bluegrass festival. It was open air on the mountain. It was very, very hot. And I was wearing a hat so that I wouldn't get a sunburn. Because as you can see, I don't have a lot of natural sun protection, unfortunately. So I wore a hat, and we had a few drinks, and it was very lovely. But I very much remember the heat. And I was wishing it was much colder. So that's what I remember. I also remember that this particular gentleman who gave this to us collected, he actually had suits tailored for him while he was in Thailand. And they were beautiful. They looked very, very expensive because they were custom. But of course, I'm sure he paid much less since he was in Thailand. So that's another memory. Additionally, I found next to this unusual stuffed elephant. Thought I would show it to you. Now, this little guy, I'm assuming, was most likely handmade. He has his ears pinned up, which I find interesting, because when I think of elephants, I think of their ears being down, but not this one. He has a, shall we say, a saddle, a decorative blanket that you might see on a horse. So we could guess that this elephant may be getting or giving a ride. There are sequins all along here, and they are beautiful. They add a very fun touch. They basically say that this elephant is very special. You can also see that he has these same sequins on his head, or her head, depending your view, and these on the feet as well. I guess you could say they're decorative anklets even, or bracelet. So, another fun thing, there's a tail ornament, sequins again. So based on this, I've determined that this elephant is very special and very important. He must either carry and deliver something incredibly important, or he must be paraded around as a joy for everyone to see. Now, as I said, this is but a flash in the pan for me because it is in my closet. I don't recall how we got it. I don't believe that it came with this blanket. But I do remember that when my son was very, very young, he made a comment to the effect that whoever had made this must be very old. And that has stuck with me since. But he is a jolly little elephant, isn't he? It's quite lovely. So, let's let him go back over here. The next item I want to share with you is not as pretty. In fact, you might even say it's really ugly. I believe it's made of copper. It is a bowl, but it has feet on the bottom. And you can see that this was most likely handmade, painstakingly added to the bottom of this bowl. You can nearly see each mark from shaping it. I don't know if it was a hammer. I don't really see those kind of marks, and I'm certainly not smart enough to identify them anyway. This bowl has been in my possession for decades, dare I say? Probably at least 2. I believe it was my grandmother's. And my mother and I have guessed that she probably used this as the bottom for a plant. I'm guessing. my grandmother was quite good with plants. So that seems like something she would do. Now, unfortunately, I must confess that this was put on my coffee table when I was just into college with my brand new roommate in our one-bedroom apartment. And this sat on the coffee table in that apartment. We didn't live there very long, but it did have hardwood floors, and it had a bunk bed in the bedroom, and thankfully I got the bottom bunk. My friend took the top. The reality is, I think she mostly slept on the couch. The fun part about this particular apartment was that the bathroom was connected to a closet. Pretty big closet, actually. It was a walk-in closet. But you had to first go through the closet to get to the bathroom. And inside the bathroom, the tub had feet. A footed bathtub. Hardwood floors, fireplace, very creaky floorboards, white walls, a radiator by 4 very large windows into the living room, and a dear friend of ours would come, and because our doors were locked, he would throw rocks up to the window so that we would let him in. We had to go to the entrance of the building to let him in. And there wasn't, I think you call it a voice box intercom thingy. We didn't have that, so we threw rocks. And about 10 o'clock every night he would come, and then another friend would show up. We had a great time. Very silly times, actually. That roommate of mine and I have been friends ever since. And she's a very, very dear soul. And I actually miss her very much. We don't see each other as much as we used to. So, that's the story of this bowl. I think you can tell by looking at it that it has a much longer history that it's waiting to share with us. I just don't know it. But I do wonder how old it is. I believe this is copper. I'd love to know if you know. I doubt it's bronze. I don't know. also admit that the apartment that this bowl is from had many, many other memories. Some very silly ones, I might add. But I won't be sharing those. There you have it. Now, as you can see, this is fashioned to look like a treasure chest. Doesn't this look like something a young girl would want? Well, it was, and I got it, so I thought this was just beautiful. I'm sure that it reminded me of something a princess would own. It is most likely made out of wood, but it has this foil over the top of it. Has a hinge here, which has really seen better days. And you would open this up to see the inside, and it should stay here. But unfortunately, through the years, this has come apart. Inside here is a very soft purple, I'm going to say velvet. Yes, let's call it velvet. It's a very deep royal purple. And I would keep little knickknacks in here, like necklaces or some rings. And in the morning, when I would come to choose my jewelry, I would open this box and feel like a queen. Hopefully you can see this purple a little better. It's absolutely beautiful. Very plush. Sometimes when we find mementos from our past, they can be painful. They might remind us of dreams that we never fulfilled. But remember this: when you see something and it reminds you of a dream you used to have, hold on to it. Remember, it's now an opportunity to rediscover that dream. Nothing's lost. Nothing's broken. Nothing's forgotten until you decide. It's up to you. This chest, for example, is very broken. In fact, I didn't have much of a chance. But it reminds me of how much I loved it. And it reminds me some things I never did that I wanted to. And it also reminds me of all the other things that I have done that I wouldn't have possibly imagined. Life is surprising. And that's okay. Now, if memories come to you that are painful, that you don't want to remember, remember this. That feeling of pain is that part of you that really lives. Pain in many ways can show us just how alive and passionate we really are inside. And then take that painful memory, look at it, and think, what can I learn from this? Sometimes you can learn nothing. Sometimes bad things happen for no reason. If that's the case, throw it away. Don't look back. But if there's a lesson, recognize it as the gold it is and learn from it and apply that knowledge going forward. It can take a lot of courage to look at yourself in the mirror and ask, how can I grow? How can I be better? But it's part of the growing process of life. Trees grow, flowers grow, and we grow in many ways. I hope you've enjoyed these sounds. They've soothed and calmed your mind, and you feel in your heart a good space, and that you can rest and relax and know that you are cared for, that you are special, that you matter, that you're important. Remember that. Thank you for joining ASMR Radio.